The Charleston art scene to me is fascinating in that, historically it's really been about artists making things that will sell well based on a lot of the traditions here. So my dad used to always say to me, one day you should try to do the duck stamp. That's the way to be successful as an artist in South Carolina. But you'd always see people painting Rainbow Row or St. Michael's, and there would always be a few contemporary artists doing interesting things. And it seems like in probably the last 10 years, there's been a scene that's begun to develop of exciting contemporary artists that, are influenced by pop art, by street art, by, conceptual art, things happening outside of sort of the confines of what are Charleston art traditions. And you see alternative spaces. I know my friend Tim Hussey, who I went to RISD with, is doing really well. I can't remember the name of the gallery he's working with, but he's really pleased with their ability to sell contemporary art. Here we're at eye level. I've seen a lot of great art in here. My friend Kevin Taylor lived here and did well for years, but felt like he sort of reached a ceiling with what he could achieve here, and left to move to San Francisco about 4 years ago. But I'm very optimistic because Mark Sloan from the Halsey reached out to me about both participating in and curating a show with the Halsey that would be a street art show for during Spoleto 2013. And I think the cool thing about Spoleto is that it brings an audience of people that aren't just from outside Charleston. It's not just Southerners or just Charlestonians, but then Charlestonians do enjoy it. So there's a really great cross-pollination. So I think that's an exciting time to be involved in something here. So I think that I think the important thing for Charleston is to, of course, appreciate the traditions, but also understand that new traditions can be built, new art, important art that's happening. Just because it doesn't fit into the historical mold doesn't mean that it's not going to be an important part of South Carolina or Charleston's history in the future. So yeah, just kind of keeping perspective on good is good, no matter what the style is and whether it's new or whether it plays into a tradition, and trying to provide outlets and platforms for good art in general. When you engage in street art, you have to understand that the work's in public, and that's great. That's very democratic, but that also means that someone else could do something over it. That's the great thing about street art, is that it's you don't go through any bureaucracy. There's no asking permission. You just put it up in public and share it with the public. But then the public has the ability to have a dialogue with it, comment on it, either by putting their own work over it or criticizing it. I mean, one of the things about street art is it's very competitive. A lot of the people that are part of that community, they make gestures, of putting work up that are sort of speaking to whatever issues they care about, but they also frequently are very competitive with each other. So a lot of the spots that I do, I think people know that they're going to be photographed. They know that they'll get attention, and not only will, if they do something commenting on it or inserting their own work into it, that will get attention, and maybe help help get them some eyes on what they're doing or what they're saying. And a lot of times the street art community has this us versus them mentality. A lot of people feel powerless who do street art, and therefore anyone who is seen as part of the establishment or having has achieved any commercial success is going to be seen as having crossed over, sold out, and an enemy. But the great thing about street art to me, though, is that you don't have to kiss ass to the dominant power structure to achieve things. But then, if you get the attention of the dominant power structure and you can infiltrate those, you've created opportunities for yourself, and not through not through compromising, but by doing things on your own terms. And so a lot of times I think that for people who have yet to really realize how they can leverage street art in a positive way for, you know, an art career, they look at achieving any sort of success as having sold out. But I think if those opportunities were presented to them, they'd take them. So I think it's a process of rebellion and evolution that everyone goes through. It's cyclical, and it's like every teenager rebelling against their parents, and then later on realizing actually their parents probably had a lot of decent things to say, and it's a process you go through. I'm 40 now, so you know I went through that period of my life where I felt very much like it was me against the world, and I had nothing to lose being as, you know, obnoxious or antagonistic or as transgressive as I wanted to be. But I don't think that way anymore, and but I still love the rebellious spirit of street art. So whenever I see a kid going over my work, I say to myself, well, it'd be great if they were attacking, you know, Goldman Sachs headquarters or something like that instead of my piece, but I love that they have the power to say what they want to say with, you know, a can of flat black spray paint or a poster, and I will always be more supportive of what they're doing than all the powers that be that would like to stifle that kind of expression, even if I'm the target.